These little crumbs are Hot Cheetos.
Be featuring Hot Cheetos.
So Hot Cheetos?
Although we love Hot Cheetos, do we know the history? Hola, que onda, que pedo, what's up, and what's the cheese? Yo soy Chichi fuera, and welcome to another episode of Chichi's Chisme. I know it's been a minute since I've seen you guys. There's been a quarantine, pandemic and all. So, for those of you guys who kind of forgot what Chichi's Chisme is, let me break it down for you. Chichi's Chisme is a place where we can get real chingona and talk about life and important moments in latinX and chicano history. Now, if you can't tell by the title of this video porque no sabes leer, or you can't tell by the color scheme we got going on in this beautiful fashion ensemble, clock, the wig, and the color combo, we are not talking about Tina Burner.
En una edición especial de Primer Impacto.
Yes, we're diving right into a Latin phenomenon, a Latin pop culture takeover in the chip world. Ya sabemos que los chinos tienen muchas cosas así. Like they have a lot of items now, and every single one of them is gonna give you chorro, but we love it at the end of the day. It all did not start out that way. Did you know that if it wasn't for a janitor, we wouldn't have this shit? I am about to break down the history of the janitor, the man behind the chip. The one person that we are thankful for these Hot Cheetos is Richard Montañez. Being the child of immigrants, he was raised in Guasde, California in the 1960s, where he lived in a one-bedroom apartment with not just him. It was his mom, his dad, his tata, and his 10 brothers and sisters. Fun. Wait, no chingas, imagínate el baño en esos días. Ay, güey. Despite living in a one bedroom, su familia trabajaba mucho por todo lo que tenía. So they really worked hard for what they had. Entonces, la historia es, un día, right before school started, little Richard had cried to his mother that he didn't want to go to school. But it was only because he didn't speak English and everyone else did. Pobrecito, no entendía ni madre. But despite that, he started questioning things like why he always had to take the green bus and not the yellow bus. He didn't comprehend what segregation was. After going through these struggles and questioning everything, one day he had brought a burrito to lunch and he noticed all the kids were staring at him y pues se puso bien nervioso porque ay, qué vergüenza, ¿dónde están viendo? Anyways, he went home and he begged his mom to please make him a bologna sandwich para la otra vez. Digo, para el otro día. And ¿sabes qué su mamá hizo? His mom packed him 2 burritos instead of 1 for him and for him to share with someone else. So, para que se vean a la chingada los que están viendo, aquí está, güey, cómete uno también y ya que te el hocico. And ever since then, everybody wanted these burritos because they did not know what they were. And since they became the new hot item, homie started slanging on the side, making that money. You know what I mean? So despite all the bags he was making, slanging these burritos and becoming all popular and whatnot, it still wasn't helping him in the English department. He was still struggling a bit. So in the 4th grade, he was about to make one of the biggest decisions of his life, where he finally made the decision to drop out. Although he dropped out, he was always a hardworking man. He took every end job he could find just to make sure he had food on the table. Like, he was working in the files, he was lavando los carros, anything he could do to make ends meet. It wasn't until un día que su amigo vino y dijo, hey, wait, there's this jale about to open up in the Frito factory. He saw this as a great opportunity for himself, his family, benefits, anything he wanted, he was about to have with this job. It was security. But he couldn't read. He was 18, and despite him not knowing how to read, agarró su jefa, and they fucking went to it, and he had her help him fill out that application, turned it in, and he got the job. After getting the job, he was determined to be el más chingon janitor that Frito ever had. Later in the 1980s, we would come to find out that Frito was about to have a downfall. And the CEO around this time was going around trying new methods to talk to their employees to switch things up. And one thing that the CEO said has always stuck with Richard, and that's act like an owner. And, well, one random day, Richard asked one of the salesmen on the floor if he can go with him on a ride along to a local market so he could stock some of these chips, which was in a local Latin community, and noticed as he was putting up these chips that there was no chips that had any spice. There was no hot chips. And all these chips that were being stocked were plain chips. And they were being stocked right next to spices. So that's when he had an epiphany and realized, wait, what the hell? There is no hot chips. It wasn't until a week later when he stopped by to get an elote from an elote man, se lo comió en chinga, and that's when he thought about it. Hey, wait, what if we made Cheetos hot? And well, he needed chips to do that, and for some miraculous reason, the máquina at the Lay's factory had broken down, so there was a whole bunch of Cheetos that did not get any cheese on them. So he took it upon himself to take those Cheetos with him to his house, where him and his wife would later on come up with a concoction con todos los chiles and create Hot Cheetos. They ended up giving the samples all over to the family and to the friends, and everyone loved them. Richard was on the next step. He looked up the CEO's phone number and without hesitation called him to set up a meeting. He finally set up an appointment to meet with him 2 weeks after. And in the middle of that 2 weeks, the CEO was really curious to find out who this janitor was. So he called one president who called another president. It was just a chain of phone calls, and then eventually got to his boss, who told him, "What did you do?" Because he didn't realize this, but although he thought he was pitching an idea, he needed to prepare a presentation. And unfortunately, no estaba preparado porque el güey todavía no sabía escribir en inglés. So he started questioning himself, como que, güey, ¿qué pedo, güey? ¿Qué hizo? Like, what did I do? Oh my God, maybe it's too much. So in a panic, he went home and told his wife that he was stressing out and he can't believe what he just did, because now he has a presentation to do and he doesn't know how to do it. So his wife, she calmed him down and basically told him, you know what? Let's go to the bookstore. Let's go to the library. We're going to check out some books on economics and some cool little plans and all this shit, and so we know what we're talking about. And we're going to present our idea, because at the end of the day, this was something that needed to be done. Fueron a la casa, escribieron todas las notas y empacaron 100 de los samples, de los Hot Cheetos samples, to give to every one of the CEOs for the presentation that he was about to give. Now, when he went to present, everything went well. It wasn't until they asked him how much he was planning on making within the first year of market, or it was some sort of number question. No, I don't know. You can look it up yourself. But he didn't know, and so he thought he was gonna blow his cover. So he literally just stretched his arms out with a smile and said, "This much." But they realized that what he had presented was something that the market was missing, and he was right. So right away they went to production and they tested out this new chip in local Latin communities in East LA. Now, here's the crazy part, is that if it sold well, Richard got to keep his job as being in charge of this. However, if it didn't sell, he was going to have to go back to becoming a janitor. So it wasn't until the 90s that this blew up intensely, and the next thing we know, Hot Cheetos is just not Hot Cheetos. Hot Cheetos is a whole world of a market and has become international now. He now goes around teaching others with his motivational speaking. And you know what? Some people do try to question him and think and say, hey, wait, but like, how can you teach if you don't got a PhD? But his motto is, what you mean? I do. I've been poor, hungry, and determined. And that's all you need. And that is how a janitor got us some Hot Cheetos. Okay. Alright, cabrones, get the fuck out of here porque ahorita tengo gas, pero todavía quiero comer más, ¿ok? So, a la chingada. Bye. Nos vemos. Nos vemos. Bye. Nos chingada. Bye. Bye.